Hello, everyone out there in metropolitan land. It's 11:30, so it is good morning. Welcome to our third Innovation Hour. We've got a very exciting lineup for you today. Some great speakers and some great topics. Everyone is muted. You will have an opportunity to use the chat function to talk to the panelists and the other hosts during the hour. So please use that function. We've also posted some great links and resources and informations and some reports in the chat for you to take a look at. Again, if you're on your phone or a tablet, we have the Q&A function enabled. So you can click on that and ask questions, and the innovation support team will be looking at those, and there will be an opportunity for a few folks to speak at the end if we have the time. So if you would like to do that, please make a note. You'd like to speak on the webinar. And I think at this point, the last thing is we are recording this and will be posted on our intranet site after. So in case you have to drop off early, you will be able to see the full webinar. Ryan, could you go ahead and start the poll, please? If everyone take a minute, and it's a fun poll. We'll keep it up for about 30 more seconds. About 10 seconds, and we will close the poll. Okay, Ryan, let's close the poll and see what we got. Okay, it looks like folks want to read minds. Well, I chose talk to animals, and that was the absolute lowest. Okay, well, that's me. Well, thank you very much for participating in the polls. Again, thank you for joining us. Means a lot. We're really proud of what we're trying to do, the district is doing with innovation, and I think you're going to be very happy with today's lineup. Wiggs, take it away.
Yes, thank you, John. Hi, good morning. I'm Wiggs Mendoza, and I am a member of Metropolitan's Employee Innovation Council. Today, we're going to hear how Metropolitan successfully used pilot projects to move forward with new technologies and to improve our internal processes. You know, pilot projects are just another extension of research and investigation of something we do not know or fully understand. And that's important for a public agency like Met. In everything that we do, we want to make sure that whatever we buy or invest on does not put Metropolitan's mission at a risk and lead us to failure. That is why Metropolitan's has first invested in a pilot program before fully committing to build our ozone treatment plants or the regional recycled water purification system. But pilot projects have challenges. And these challenges are very especially like funding. Until pilot project funding becomes a permanent line item in the budget, bringing innovation or new technologies to the district will always remain a challenge. Luckily, we have organizations outside of Metropolitan like Waterstart. And Waterstart is in Nevada. It's actually an economic development arm of Nevada. That's how it started. And that's what we'll learn today from our panel of speakers on how outside funding like Waterstart can be of help to Metropolitan. So let me introduce some of our panels. I'm getting my cheat sheet here, sorry. Okay, here we go. First, we'll start with Peggy Vogt, who works in the innovation team, and Peggy is also with a member of the Employee Innovation Council. Peggy first learned about Waterstart 4 years ago, and she'll give us an introduction to Waterstart. Then we'll hear from Nate Allen. He's the executive director of Waterstart. Nate will tell us more about Waterstart and their mission and how they've been successful in bringing new ideas and technology to the water industry. He'll also be joined by Rebecca Shanahan, who is director for the Channels of Innovation at Waterstart. Then we go to our own Michael Thomas, who is with our engineering services group, who also sits on the board of Waterstart. Michael will discuss Met's role in Waterstart and the recent pilot projects co-funded by Waterstart. Michael will also share how you can participate and potentially have your pilot projects funded if you have any. And finally, Rajen Budhia, also in engineering, will present a new pilot project he's been working on through Waterstart. All right, now let's start with Peggy. Peggy, go ahead and tell us your story about Waterstart.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see all of you and be able to talk with you. We don't get together often enough. Anyway, our journey with Waterstart started about 5 years ago. And I was at a WaterSmart conference, and I went to an innovation speech, and it was by Dave Johnson and Nate Allen. And I was very inspired by what they were talking about. And Dave Johnson he was then the director of innovation at Southern Nevada Water District. He's now like assistant general manager and head of operations. But at the time, he was saying that Waterstart was going to help Southern Nevada be a cutting edge, a world leader in cutting edge water technology. And he was very inspiring, and he was very excited about innovation and said that Waterstart was going to help everybody be a champion of innovation. And then he introduced Nate Allen, and Nate was equally inspiring. He was talking about taking the risk for water utilities out of piloting and implementing programs, implementing pilots into the utilities. And he was going to co-fund a lot of these pilots. And as everybody knows, funding and risk are barriers to actually getting pilots going. And so I was very inspired by both of these speakers. And so I thought I need to find out more. And then I actually ran into Dave Johnson in the hall afterwards, and he was heading to Mekarot in Israel the next day with Nate and the governor of Nevada and a trade delegation. And they were excited. They were going to see like 20 to 25 water entrepreneurs from Israel. And at the same conference, I actually went over to Rebecca, and she was exhibiting for Waterstart. And she was showing all the pilots that they were working on. And it was just an exciting, and Rebecca was inspiring. And so that's how our journey started. I actually wanted to find out more and get to know them. I was curious. And they seemed to be doing great things for water innovation. Then we actually met. We really enjoyed working together, found a lot of opportunities. And so we've been a partner with Nate and Rebecca for over 5 years now. And we've attended every Channels of Innovation conference that they have. They've provided us with opportunities to be on panels, to judge their pitching piloting competitions, to exhibit at their Channels for Innovation conference. And we were not even a member then. So they have given us all sorts of opportunities to be partner with them. And we have been true partners. And for me, being a partner was great, but we have all been trying to be a champion for Waterstart. And finally, this year on June 8th, we actually became a full member of Waterstart. And Michael Thomas is on the board, and Michael is a true champion of water innovation. And we're just very excited. We've got 10 pilots in some stage with Waterstart. They're co-funding and helping us. And anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Nate. Nate Allen from Waterstart.
Thanks, Peggy. Really appreciate you making the introduction for us here, and really appreciate you and Michael extending the invitation for us to join here. Glad to be with everybody else on the line. As Peggy said, my name is Nate Allen. I'm the executive director of Waterstart. I'm joined today by Rebecca Shanahan, who's our director of the channels program. I don't know, Rebecca, do you want to, I guess I can't see you yet. If you want to go
I'm
off
here.
of,
Hey,
oh, there you
everybody.
go. That's great. There's a few of us on the line here. We're going to take just the next few minutes to give you a little bit more background about Waterstart, and in particular, kind of how we work. And then we're going to hand it off to Michael to talk a little bit about some work we've already done with Metropolitan Water District. So let's go to the next one there, Rebecca. So Waterstart, first of all, it's an association. We are a group created by water agencies for water agencies with the mission of trying to accelerate the adoption of new technologies. Everybody hears all the time about new equipment, new solutions that are going to come in and solve everybody's problems. But it's easier said than done, as I'm sure many of you are well aware of. And so what Waterstart does is really try to do two things. Is one, we work with our members to define what their technical and financial challenges are. This really comes down to what keeps you guys up at night. And then once we understand that, we can try to figure out a way to reduce the risk, to make it easier for you to try new solutions that might work, both in terms of trying to co-fund small projects that are lower risk before you do a full rollout, but also in terms of just all the red tape that comes along with trying to adopt a new technology that comes along with working with a really big agency, and often trying to do that with a really small company. So we really try and help facilitate the whole process of exploring new solutions. We've said that we had a small start in Southern Nevada with Las Vegas Valley Water District and the Southern Nevada Water Authority. They were really our founding members about 7 years ago. Since then, our membership has grown across the state of Nevada, globally into Australia and the UK. And now we're really excited to even be working with you guys in California. You can see here, it's quite a diverse group of both water agencies, drinking water, wastewater, as well as large consumers like MGM International and Nevada Gold Mines, large and small agencies as well. And you can see here some of the other partners that we have where we raise funds in order to support the work that you guys do, making it easier to become more innovative. A little bit of some metrics here to show you guys what we've done. A little bit about the process here. So to date, we have worked with our members to look at more than 350 some technology companies. And these are all specifically related to the priorities that our members tell us they need. So this isn't just us going out and willy-nilly, looking for cool gadgets or things on a Christmas list. These are really things that are focused on needs of our members. These companies have come from 21 different countries. It's resulted that they may hire and employ then more than 100 people within the next few years because of the work they're doing to solve problems of our members. In total, we have funded together with our members about $3.4 million worth of projects. And some of the impacts that have come out of that is we've got more than 100 priorities now that we're trying to address. We've done 31 pilots. About 10% of those have been successful. And what I mean by success is that those technologies proved themselves within the pilot to the degree where our member wanted to contract them afterwards and continue working with them, or even scaling up the amount of work that they're doing together. And we estimate that those projects have resulted in $30 million worth of savings and value to our members. That's the value of the challenges that they've addressed. A couple of examples of some tech companies here that are part of what we kind of loosely refer to as our portfolio. You know, these folks are who we have done pilots with that have had success. They're not who pay Waterstart to do work. They're not who, you know, we have any kind of formal business relationship with. These are basically the companies that have gone through our process, and our members at the end have said, hey, we want to keep working with them, and we're willing to share what has been learned through the experience of working with them with the other members in the association. Some of you might see some familiar companies here. I know Abyss, even outside of Waterstart, has already done some really cool project work with Metropolitan Water District. They are a company that uses artificial intelligence to analyze imaging collected by drones, whether those drones are thrown into a reservoir or a water pipe, are pulled down a sewer line. They can take the images, refer noise, so the images become clear. They can create recognized patterns to say, oh, that's a root or a crack in the sewer line, rather than paying, you know, your poor engineering intern to sit in front of the video for hours on end and identify those things manually. A couple other things that you'll see within here, you know, it's a broad range of technologies that we've deployed, from things like, you know, how to monitor pumps to make sure you understand how efficient they are so that you're utilizing the most efficient pumps in your scheduling programs, or being able to run diagnostics on the condition of a pump before you have to take it apart. That's something that we've worked on with company like Reventa. Apana does sub-metering inside of commercial buildings. There's a variety of things that you might not even expect as well. Applications like Clear, applications like Redeye, that basically manage documents, whether it's related to engineering or whether it's environmental reporting and lab reports, to make sure that crews in the field, operators within different facilities can all be sharing documents and making sure that reporting and sharing is happening easily across the network. So you can also see a couple of things that you might expect to see too. Syrinix, Ecologics, leading companies in the field of leak detection, that both of those companies have scaled their solutions by coming in through the Waterstart program and working with our members. You know, one of the other value propositions that, you know, we're now adding to our programs since our membership is growing is sharing those experiences between members. And I think I kind of hinted on a couple of those where we've done some pilots, they've been successful, and then one or another member has adopted it from that. It's also finding common shared interests between members. And that activity has increasingly become more and more value of working with Waterstart, where you guys can meet your peers from other agencies to identify similar challenges and similar approaches to addressing them. And so we've created this program called Channels for Innovation, which Rebecca manages and is going to take the microphone from me and show you guys a little bit more about how our online digital platform, as well as programs, are structured in order to share between members new innovative solutions. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Sure. So as Wiggs and Nate mentioned, I am the director of Channels, and Channels is Waterstart's supporting charity. And we focus on three things at Channels. One is piloting those technologies. The second one is evaluating those pilots. And the third is doing education and promotion around those pilots. And so Channels is our avenue for supporting that education and promotion of those successful and sometimes not successful pilot projects, which we all know is equally as important in understanding why it didn't work. So I thought I would take just a second and walk you all through the platform. You access it via our website. I'm moving slow over here, apparently. Now, Peggy is the owner of MWD's login right now. It's thinking. So this is inside the channels platform. And again, it's where we house all of the case studies associated with the pilots that we have funded with our member organizations across the globe. So I'm going to start here. Well, you can customize your own personal dashboard for each organization, but I'm going to start here under members and take you to MWD's profile. Peggy and I are working together to build out MWD's profile, where you will see your organizational overview, the different uses of water, because some of our members are wastewater and drinking water, others are drinking water only. So we like to include as much information about each member so that others can go in and understand who is also a part of the membership. We'll highlight different system processes, as well as any prior innovation activity. Here, I've linked you guys to a priority that's associated with modeling of reservoir design and its impacts on water quality, because you're going to hear later about the AM team project that we have funded together. But I want to take you to where you can see all of the priorities that every single one of our members have identified. And as Nate mentioned, that's over 100 priorities right now. You can navigate those via different categories. So I'm going to go to drinking water. And when you click on these different tiles, you can see some of the background information associated with each priority. This one's relatively shorter. We have some that are significantly long. The more information, the better, because this is really the clearinghouse for those high valued shared priorities that all of our members are identifying. Next, I want to showcase the different pilot projects that we've been discussing. I think now there's 26 or 29 pilots currently published within channels. We have a handful that are currently being drafted that we're hoping to have published by the end of the year. You can search these. I'm going to go to Red Eye because I know that many of you in the organization have had an interest in that technology. And when you go to the specific case study for whatever technology pilot that you have an interest in, you can see here that it's a very comprehensive overview of this particular case study. And this project was done with Southern Nevada Water Authority. You can see that here. On the left side, you can get the full narrative around that case study and all the results. On the right-hand side, you can do a quick glance where you can see the value proposition, some performance metrics of that technology. If we have it, we will post photos, video, podcast, interviews with project managers, the tech companies themselves, etc. You can ask us a question. You can reach out to the project manager at the member organization. Same goes for the tech company. You can reach out to them. You can submit a question, etc. It's all housed here within channels. Again, really trying to build that ecosystem of collaboration among our members, as well as your peers within your own organization and peers within our member organizations across the globe. One of the last things I wanted to highlight is this tech company page. Here we have the tech companies categorized in two different categories. One being those tech companies that we've piloted. So you could go here to find a brief overview and summary of the technology companies that we have piloted, and you can link to their website. And also we have a catalog of all of the technology companies, whether we've piloted them or not, that have responded to our RFP process. That's our process that we use for requesting proposals from these technology companies. So, and again, you can contact the technology company via this platform. Again, I'm working with Peggy to build out your profile. She is my main point of contact, as well as Michael. And after this innovation hour today, we will be setting up a employee member login so that each one of you can go in and access and kind of navigate the site yourselves, and hopefully request a login of your own. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Michael Thomas.
Hey, thanks. Thanks, Rebecca and Nate. Hey, I'm Michael Thomas. I'm a manager in engineering, and I represent Metropolitan on Waterstart's board. I really want to thank Peggy and Wiggs that kind of brought me into this Waterstart initiative, because it's really been rewarding for me. And also, I want to thank Devin for he's the one who made the decision to invest in Waterstart. And you'll hear me talk about investment a lot if you hang around me much. Really, what is investment? I mean, investment is putting in a little bit with the hopes of getting a whole lot out. And that's a lot of what innovation is try to find ways to put in a little bit to get a lot out. And that's kind of a real basic tenet of the piloting that we do. I think this Waterstart is a tremendous investment for us. It's not necessarily real easy to innovate here at Metropolitan, and there's a lot of reasons for that. What I think is that, we've been doing this water delivery thing for a long time, and as a government organization, I've been here about 20 years, but I've been really impressed with how we have such focus and commitment and synchronicity to meet that primary objective. But see, here's the thing: is I think we're real efficient at it, and there's not a whole lot. We're very lean, so we don't really have a lot of time to innovate because we're busy doing our water business. Just look at this. Here we are talking about innovation, and we're doing it over our lunch hour. So if that doesn't show you, how much time we have, it's a good example of it. So what we need is I think we need a little help when it comes to innovating, and that's what I have found from Waterstart. Is Waterstart provides help in getting your innovative ideas going. I've used Waterstart to fund projects. I've used them to find technology, but primarily what I've found that I use Waterstart for here at Metropolitan is that I use them as a motivator for innovation and an accelerator. Okay, so what do I mean by that? As a motivator, what's neat is when we have like a new idea and we have a new tech and we want to give it a try. If I go to someone in operations or someone else in engineering and say, hey, I have this idea, can we try this? And I say, well, we also have some participation by this outside organization, Waterstart. They're going to fund it. It's really great because as soon as I do that, the project kind of becomes more than just about us. It becomes about the water community, and it becomes kind of a collaboration. And I tell you what, when folks, and I'm not unique in feeling this way, I think when we talk about that, I think it's a real, it puts some real momentum behind our projects. And it's really worked so far. And I'll give you some examples of that. So with Waterstart, we do pilots. Let's talk about that, because we've talked about how difficult it is to innovate. And really at Metropolitan, we're a pretty big organization, been around a long time. It is really hard to change and to try something new, particularly if you're going to try it at like enterprise scale. I always think of Steve Gonzalez in IT. He's got this project to redo all our file management, and we're doing it. There's no real way to do it other than across the whole organization, and it is really hard. I tell you, it is really hard to do stuff at Metropolitan at this whole enterprise scale. So, can we do it incrementally? Can we do it start at a small scale? And that's what we're trying to do here. And I personally, I think it really works. And I'm going to give you some examples. I have two active pilots that are being co-funded by Envision right now, or by Waterstart right now. One is Envision. This is in my specific area. It's some software. It's new software, very innovative. It's the only thing that does this that I know of, but it takes project data. So we used to store all of our CIP project data in this thing called the eList, which was an access database that really wasn't very easy to use or forgiving or very good at maintaining historical information. So we had this e-list and it was going obsolete. And we have all our schedule and budget information in Primavera scheduling software. And we used to have to go through IT with we have to go through a pretty rigorous process in order to put all this information together. Well, we found out about Envision. Envision has pretty much created this database with all our project information, and it brings in all of our schedule information, lines it all up, and really allows us to do some very creative CIP planning, organizing capabilities that we could never do before. Now, what Waterstart did was they actually, the cost of this software was about $70-some odd thousand. What Waterstart did is they came in and they said, look, I tell you, we'll co-fund with you. We'll get this below $50,000. And then all we had to do was cut a PO. And this is where I talk about accelerating. All we had to do was cut a PO with Envision then. We didn't have to advertise it, no sole source memos. And we went and we bought the software. And this was only about 3-4 months ago. And I'm going to tell you, as of last Friday, we have already implemented it. We are on our way. My team is already using this. I mean, this really accelerated this opportunity for innovation. I'll give you another example. The other active, well, I'll get to what Rajen Budhia is doing with AM team later, but we're trying to do some other pilots too. So we're working with David Sadamoto and maintenance engineering to try out this product called Reventa. I mean, it's this solution that, you know, you take the temperature going into, it's for our CRA main pumps. You take temperature going into the pump, take temperature going out, figure out how much current's coming into the pump, and it, using algorithms, tells you what's flowing through the pump. Now, we don't know what flows through each of our CRA pumps, but if this really works, this is a huge benefit to operations. And it's I mean, to install flow meters on each pump would be millions and millions of dollars. If we can do it with these devices, that's just great. And that, to me, that's investment. That's finding a solution that doesn't cost a lot of money and that could give us tremendous operational help. And Waterstart, and hopefully we're going to be doing this very soon, but Waterstart has volunteered to pay for the whole pilot. So think about that. I mean, that is just absolutely amazing. Working with a company called Arc Quencher, or called Tech4, they have this Arc Quencher device. It's a new device that goes on your electrical medium voltage equipment that precludes or stops arc flashes from forming before they form. It's new technology. It's safety equipment. It's something that could allow us to work safer. And I'm trying to work on getting something going like that out in our machine shop. And then lastly, and I'm going to introduce Rajen Budhia here. We are working with AM Team. This is a small firm in the Netherlands, and you know, they do some really neat hydraulic computational fluid dynamic analysis, and they're helping us out. The neat thing about Waterstart here is that Waterstart got, you know, it's not easy for us to contract with a company in another country. I mean, it's just not easy. You know, Waterstart came in and they set up a contract with AM Team to get us started, and we already have results on this. And this has really allowed us to accelerate the pilot process. So with that, to tell us a little bit about that, Rajen, I'm going to turn it over to you. How about that?
All right. Great intro. Thanks, Michael. So as Michael talked about, we started this process with Waterstart to work with the AM Team. And the purpose of this project was to essentially focus at Jensen and Mills finished water reservoirs. The idea is to use this computational fluid dynamics, CFD for short. It's like a computer simulation to help us understand the mixing conditions and hydraulic conditions within our infrastructure. And to be able to understand if there are any potential, what we call dead spots. Dead spots are areas where there's stagnant water, there's not enough mixing going on. That contributes to potential water quality issues such as nitrification. And so I'm going to share with you a couple of slides. This technology, CFD, has been around for years. In fact, Metropolitan has a hydraulics team that has been doing this kind of work for over 25 years. So this is not new. But what's innovative about this pilot program is the fact that we're teaming up with AM Team on a global scale. AM Team is located in Belgium, and they are specialized in developing CFD models similar to what they're doing for us, using their treatment technology background. In addition to that, they utilize their understanding of water chemistry and how that could be applied to our processes. And that helps us to optimize our operation or make modifications as needed to meet our goals. And so they've done this type of projects throughout the world, in Asia, Europe, parts of North America for different utilities. And over time, they've developed this database. And so we have this ability to team with the company like AM Team and tap into that database and be able to efficiently use different scenarios and do a very systematic evaluation of some of our scenarios and come up with solutions in a very quick manner without going about. One of the most biggest benefits of this type of pilot program is the fact that it's all done remotely. And I just want to share with you quickly what they're able to do. What we're sharing today is very much a demonstration type of scenarios. Mind you, that we're still working with them on the level of developing the models, and once we have data available, then we'll share with the district. So essentially, what we did is we provided the company in Belgium with the data set. I think I lost the share file.
Let's give some time for Rajen to recover. This is just a normal. He looks good though.
Yeah, I think Rajen froze up. Rajen is bringing up a presentation that shows the results of the simulations that AM Team ran for us.
Okay, he's back.
Rajen, you able to share your screen?
Can you guys?
Whoop. Do we just lose Rajen? Rajen, yeah, we can't see your screen if you can hear me.
How about again? I think my connection dropped for a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we haven't seen your screen yet, Rajen. Go ahead and put it up.
Yeah, it's a new norm.
How about now?
Almost.
Yep. There you go.
There we go.
All right. Well, thank you for your patience. Sorry about that. So this is an example of the type of benefits that we have with using CFD modeling. And once again, we provided information to, are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, we provided the information to AM Team to develop this model based on our record drawings and operational data. This is just one of the depiction of what we can do in terms of being able to see the hydraulic conditions, how the water moves, some of the characteristics such as velocity. When they generate these scenarios, we can visualize what the velocities and what direction the water is moving. And you can see on the screen here that the color depicts either the higher velocity, lower velocity. In this situation, the water is moving at a sufficient speed as it comes into the reservoir through the outlet. And then as it moves through the outlet of the reservoir, it's moving rather quickly. But on the southeast side, you can see there's a blue indicating that water is not moving as efficiently as it should be. And so that gives us a little bit of a concern about whether there's a potential dead zone. And as I mentioned, dead zone is something where if the water is not moving quickly, if there's not enough mixing going on, that could potentially have some impacts on water quality. I'm not able to move my presentation.
You could put it in presentation mode.
I believe I did, and I think that's where it got disconnected. There we go. Here we go. Sorry about that. I was having disconnected with my system. This is another scenario where essentially we're unable to see how water moves underneath the substructure, such as a reservoir. So we insert what we call a virtual tracer. So tracer is essentially helping us to see how, if a potential reagent is introduced, where would the agent move through, what direction. This is a 9-hour time-lapse video showing how the water could be moving through the reservoir. And you can see by the red, it indicates the level of concentration of the agent moving through from inlet to outlet. And then on the southeast side, you can see the color showing blue and green, which kind of shows that there isn't a lot of movement going on. So that's, again, back to the original slide, you can see that there's a potential chance of a dead zone area. And this is where we try to concentrate to see if there's any improvements we can make. Once again, these are demonstration slides. Again, not to alarm people that we have this kind of situation. We just wanted to show the benefits of the CFD modeling and what it means. This is what we looked at was just a hydraulic condition, which is what we refer to as the first order of the analysis, which is basically looking at the conditions of the water, how it moves, velocity, some of the other characteristics. What AM team can do, again, is that built on their database, they can apply what they call the second order of magnitude of analysis, which is applying chemistry to it. And this is where it gets very, sort of complicated. But based on their experience, they're going to apply various water quality data that we give to them, and they can say how the chemicals are mixing, where are their potential chance of buildup of certain things. For instance, for us, the concern is whether or not there's accumulation of ammonia or forms of nitrate in this dead zone. And so looking at the slide here, you can see at the southeast corner, you have this potential area where there's red, that kind of saying, okay, we may have to kind of look into it. How can we improve that? And so those are the areas where there's a highly concentrated nitrate. Not that we're showing that we have that, but this is just an example only. But this is the level of information that CFD is able to provide efficiently and quickly, and helps us to visualize all these parameters. And so based on their database, they can plug into different options of how we can modify our reservoir operation or configurations, or put in additional mixing type of units, or whatever the case may be, to help improve the water quality on basis of how the water would flow through the reservoir, but also how the chemicals would mix. So in this particular slide, essentially what they're saying is that we could potentially put on the outlet that could drastically improve how the water moves through. But in addition to that, it could also help how the mixing could be improved, that would allow the concentration of certain chemicals to be lowered, or how the mixing could be improved in all of it in general. So essentially, we're going to be working with the AM team to analyze both at Jansen and Mills plant and see what the current conditions are. And then based on some of the flow-based areas, we're going to then try to simulate some of the potential improvements that could be made if there are any potential signs. And then we're going to move forward with projects. So this pilot program is actually helping us to quickly assess the situation, and then help us to determine some possible solutions that we could take into a project that we have ongoing, and see how we can implement that. And so that's pretty much what I had. And Michael, back to you.
Thanks, Rajen. That was great. By the way, this is a message to Jim Kostelecki. We're not just going to go out and build you a second outlet on your reservoir. This is more of an ideal solution. A little background to this is that apparently there was all kinds of baffling in these reservoirs that fell down in the Northridge earthquake, which is kind of why we're left in the situation we're in. So back to talking about Waterstart and pilots. So you can see we can do pilots. We can successfully do pilots. And I want to make the point that this kind of CFD work, we've been doing it. Paul Sidkic and his guys in our hydraulics group can do this. We've been doing it for a long time. They're great at it. This was an opportunity to kind of add a little, to get something done, very rapidly, and try some new technology, some twists on some old technology that I think is really going to work out well for us. But what is really innovative, I think, for us is that we were able to contract with this organization halfway around the world and work closely with them and get quick results. Now that to me that's innovative for us. And again, we can do this. We have this capability working with Waterstart and working with all the smart people who work here at Metropolitan to make something like this happen. So the message I have for you is this, is that if you have a pilot idea, we want to hear about it. And when I say we, I want you to start with Peggy and with me, is that we want to hear about it and see if there's opportunities to move forward with it. We've been talking with the Innovation Council about creating a committee on pilots, subcommittee on pilots that actually looks at all the opportunities and kind of decides which ones are best to move forward with. Some folks said, look, do you really want to open up this pilot opportunity to the entire district? And my answer was, well, yeah, I guess so. Why not? I mean, look, if we're swamped with ideas, excuse me, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a real good problem to have. And if we're doing that, then I think we're really helping to transform Metropolitan into a more innovative organization. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with this. I think we talked about how the institution of Metropolitan can make it really hard to innovate. And I would even argue that going back to, middle school and high school and college, and there's so much going on now about teaching the test and learning the test and memorizing it instead of learning, instead of understanding. And I can tell you there's a price that gets paid for that. And the price is this loss of creativity. And what I'd like to, creativity is an essential component in innovation. Without creativity, you cannot innovate. So my message to all of you out there listening is, please don't be afraid to create. Don't be afraid to step outside of the institutional barriers. A lot of this innovation doesn't happen because Devin or Wiggs or me or your boss says innovate. It doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't. It happens when you decide to step outside of kind of yourself a little bit and think about things, look at things differently, and not being afraid to invent, to explore, to create. And if you do that, that's how we're going to identify the investments that are really going to pay off huge, for our organization. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to my sensei, Wiggs Mendoza, although I'm looking for him on here. I don't see his name. Oh, there you go. Wiggs, back to you, huh? Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Oh, thank you. That will be very rare. So thank you, Michael. Great information from everyone. Now, we have a few moments to entertain some questions, but something I like to start with because of Michael's inspirational closing. You have an audience here that is not limited to engineering and operations. And when you're talking about piloting some ideas, okay, we have a diverse group in Metropolitan composed of not really focused engineering operations group. Let's take HR, okay? So, but this is part of the water industry, water sector of MWD. So if another group, water resource management, maybe HR has an idea, would that be considered? Nate?
Yeah, as far as Waterstart's process is concerned, we're happy to take priorities from any department, any team within our membership. Our membership is our water managers. And so if they have a technical problem, whatever technology we need to find for them, that becomes water technology. So we're very happy to serve any of the departments out there and would love the chance, right?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Nate. I want to call on someone who asked a question earlier. Jennifer Arringer, are you in? Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Jennifer? No? I'll unmute. Okay.
Oh, hi, Wiggs. It's Jennifer. You know what? I accidentally hit my raise hand button. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Go ask a question anyway. No, go ahead. Go eat lunch. Nate, I have another question that's come forward. You showed your portfolio companies, and I don't know, this is a piggyback to our first question. Now, these portfolio companies, are we limited to use these companies when we have some ideas?
Not at all. Not at all. We start with hearing from you guys what your needs are. And then if we have a company that we already know is valid, they've delivered for other members, then we often see that as an opportunity for a quick win. But our primary activity is to start with those priorities. We do a formal global RFP. Just about quarterly, we post one on behalf of our members. and search for tech companies to respond to those priorities, vet them, evaluate the proposals along with our members. And then if it seems like it's a fit, then we help to scope the project.
I see. Thank you. So I think next time when another RFP is due from Waterstart, Michael and Peggy, maybe we need to go through the other departments and see if there's something they wanted to pilot or have an idea. So you can ask the market if they have those kind of products or items. Thank you. Okay, now, Michael, there's a question for you, a simple question. I know I was involved with the Abyss pilot last December, last year. And some people wanted to know how this underwater robotic can actually help Metropolitan.
Wow, thanks, Wix. Yeah, that was a great pilot project. I found out about Abyss years ago through the tag process, and it's funny because Jessica Lowe, who used to be the plant engineer out in the desert, she was doing a safety plan to drop some of our engineers into the delivery lines, the lines that go up the hills from our pump plants to do an inspection. And she says, "Wow, this is really getting kind of complicated. Hey, I want to use that drone that you told me about." And so this conversation went from that one conversation that we probably had that conversation 2 years ago to her coming to me just calls me on the phone and says, "Hey, can you still do that?" We get on the phone to Australia. We talk to these guys. We say, "Hey, can you do this inspection?" They said, "Absolutely." They rescheduled all their work around the globe, and we got them here to America with their equipment. They spent 3 days, only 3 days, and we got full imagery and analysis and 3D models of valves that we've never looked at before. Within, we did all this work both at Iron and at Heinz, just within like 3 days of field work. I mean, it was wonderful, and and this is just using new ideas, new tech to get us better information and get it safer. And actually, we didn't even need to shut down and drain a line to do it. So many advantages. It's just a matter of knowing what tech's out there, thinking of an application, and making it happen. I mean, we can do it. It was really neat.
And I know the Abyss pilot was not really under Waterstart, but it was a pilot that you and your team had kind of explored, and our workers in the desert had helped in this. So just to clarify with that. And I think
if we were members of Waterstart, I could have saved a little money on that. See, they would have they would have helped us out.
Yeah, no use going back, pal. But I think I have another question, hands raised. Don Bentley, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Hello, Wiggs. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Yeah, this was alluded to a little bit earlier about Waterstart helping other parts of water agency organizations, but I was wondering if they're able to support and fund non-technical projects, if they have even some examples of some non-technical projects they may have supported through their existence. Thanks.
Hey, Don, can I ask a follow-up question before I answer? Can you define a non-technical problem?
Well, one of the things I was thinking of, we deal a lot with agreements in water resource management, a lot of processes, ways maybe to improve maybe agreement administration, and maybe even with HR, there's a lot of hiring issues that are specific to water agencies. I was just wondering if there's been any effort in areas such as these.
Sure. Yeah, and I want to be, I asked because I want to make sure that I answer, in a useful way here, Don. So I would say, certainly we have been effective at addressing non-technical, or maybe even like, I might kind of even qualify it as non-engineering related or infrastructure related projects. A great example of that, I think that might relate closest to some examples you gave, was around CLEAR, which is around, digitizing the document management processes for permitting new projects, as well as doing environmental regulatory reporting. So, and that's not even like not like a LIMS system where, you know, you've got the lab doing the tests and, you know, documenting all that, but then it's managing where do the results, you know, get sent after they are documented, right? So it's very much a workforce team project management kind of tool that we've done, and probably similar kinds of things in HR or in customer service. We certainly would be, you know, very, very enthusiastic to support projects in those areas. I will say though that in terms of how we're structured, there's really two ways that we can help address things. One is, and primarily what we do is bringing outside tools into the member organization to help them, right? You know, I think the other way would be kind of sharing of best practices between members. When COVID first started last spring, we did regular calls between emergency response teams at our different member agencies, where they were just able to say, hey, we're adopting this practice or adopting that practice. So that's a different mode than kind of what we've been focusing a lot on today's discussion around piloting new technologies. So just a little broader context there too of ways we may be able to support teams that aren't in operations or in engineering.
Okay, I think that's it what we have for today. Great speakers, great information, everybody. I think a lot of people learned a lot of things today. If you have any questions, you want to learn more about Waterstart or potential pilots, contact Peggy or Michael. And please stay connected with us. Visit our Innovation Intramet page for more information about MET's innovation programs, learn about our innovation success stories, watch our Innovation Hour recordings, and learn more about what the Employee Innovation Council are about and who they are. And stay tuned for our next Innovation Hour in January. For the meantime, you guys have a very nice Thanksgiving, and God bless all. Thank you.